Hello everybody, myself Prasanta Mukhopadhyay, faculty member, Electrical Engineering Department, Greater Kolkata College of Engineering and Management. Last class of Electrical Machine 2, we have discussed a breaking of induction motor, and previously we have discussed different methods of speed control of induction motor. Today we'll discuss generator operations, actually how induction motor can be operated as a induction generator. So induction generator is also known as asynchronous generator, and induction machine sometimes used as a generator. Initially an induction generator or the machine is started as a motor, and at the starting the machine draws the lagging reactive volt ampere from the supply mains. The speed of the machine is increased above the synchronous speed by an external prime mover, and the speed is increased in the same direction as that of the rotating field produced by the stator winding. So this is very important to remember. The speed is increased in the same direction as that of the rotating field produced by the stator windings. And the induction machine will operate as an induction generator and will start producing a generating torque. This generating torque is opposite to the direction of the rotation of the rotor, and at this condition the slip is negative and the induction generator starts delivering energy to the supply mains. Okay, so as I told you that induction generator is also known as asynchronous generator, and induction machine sometimes used as a generator, and initially an induction generator or the induction machine is started as a motor, and at the starting the machine draws the lagging reactive volt ampere from the supply mains. The speed of the machine is increased above the synchronous speed by an external prime mover, and the speed is increased in the same direction as that of the rotating field produced by the stator windings. And the induction machine will operate as a induction generator in this case and will start producing a generating torque, and this generating torque is opposite to the direction of the rotation of the rotor, and at this condition the slip is negative and the induction generator starts delivering energy to the supply mains. So the torque speed characteristics is of a three-phase induction machine for all the ranges of the speed is shown here. So this is the torque speed characteristics. Basically this is for the motoring region of operations, and this is for the generating region of operations. Okay, and in the motoring region this will give you the maximum motor torque. This is the starting torque, motor starting torque. And the generating region, this is the pushover torque, that is the maximum torque, and this is synchronous speed. Okay, and this is the generating region, and in this region this is the negative region. This portions will be for the braking region of the motor. Okay. So in an equivalent circuit of an induction motor, the mechanical shaft load has been replaced by a resistor of the value given here. So when we have discussed the equivalent circuit of the three-phase induction motor, we have seen this mechanical resistance, which is equivalent to R2 by S into 1 minus S. Actually this R2 is the rotor resistance, stands the rotor resistance, and S is the slip, and this is this mechanical torque development that is given by this R mechanical should be equal to R2 by S into 1 minus S. In an induction generator, the slip S is negative, and therefore the load resistance R make is also negative. Okay, so this shows that load resistance does not absorb the power but starts as a source of power. So it starts supplying the electrical energy to the supply mains to which it is connected. So this is very important. So from the equivalent circuit of a three-phase induction motor, we have seen that R mechanical should be equal to R2 by S into 1 minus S. And in induction generator, this slip is negative. So therefore, the load resistance R mechanical is also negative. So this means the load resistance does not absorb the power, but starts acting as a source of power. It starts supplying the electrical energy to the supply mains to which it is connected. The output of an induction generator depends upon the following factors, which is given below. That is the magnitude of the negative slip, the speed of the rotor, or how fast the motor drives above the synchronous speed in the same direction, the rotation of the motor when it operates as an induction motor. So it is clear from the torque speed characteristics of the induction motor that the maximum possible induced torque occurs in the generating mode, and this torque is also known as the pushover torque, that is given here. So this is the maximum possible torque produced in the generating mode, and that is known as the pushover torque. If the torque becomes greater than the pushover torque, the generator will overspeed. The induction generator is not a self-excited generator, so it is necessary to excite the stator with an external polyphase source to produce the rotating magnetic field. And this is achieved at the rated voltage and frequency, and the machine is made to operate above the synchronous speed. So since the speed of the induction generator is different from the synchronous speed, so it is known as an asynchronous generator. Basically, when we will start, when we will study synchronous machines, and particularly the study of synchronous generator, we will see that this synchronous generator will always rotate in a constant speed. That is the synchronous speed of the particular that machine. So that depends on the supply frequency and the number of poles. Okay, but in this case, in induction generators, it is in induction generators, it runs above the synchronous speed, so which is not at all synchronous. So an induction motor, it is run at a subsynchronous speed. So when it is run as super synchronous speed, so it will the induction machine will operate as a generator, and that's why it is not, since this speed is not synchronous, it is called asynchronous, and this generator is known as the synchronous generator. Okay, from the characteristics curve, it is seen that the operating range of the induction generator is limited to the maximum value of pushover torque corresponding to the slip of the speed of, say, Wm, as shown in the torque speed characteristic curve. So this is shown here. This is Wm. So this is the speed at Wm. This is the pushover torque. So this is a generating region, and it's operate as a asynchronous generator. Now, if we talk about its advantages and applications of induction generators, we'll see asynchronous generator, that is induction generator, has certain advantages, and it has certain specific applications also, and definitely it has some limitations also. So induction machine is also used as a generator, and it is particularly used in wind turbines and micro hydro machinery because it generates useful power at the variable speed of the rotor. So the induction generator is more economical and reliable as compared to other generators. So it is mostly used in wind generation stations because of the variable speed factor. And advantages of an induction generator, so we have seen the applications particularly in wind generating stations, and also in micro hydro machinery because it generates useful power at the variable speed of the rotor. And the induction generator is more economical and reliable as compared to other generators. So it is mostly used in wind generating stations because of this variable speed factor. And advantages of an induction generator is there are several advantages of an induction generator. So an induction generator requires less maintenance because of its robust construction, And ordinary case motor is used as an induction generator as it is cheaper in comparison. Parallel operation is possible without hunting. That's a very important factor. So even in the synchronous machines, whenever there is some say reason happens out of synchronism, so hunting will start. So but in this case, since the induction generator is running itself as a asynchronous generator, so the parallel operation can be possible without any hunting, and speed variation of the prime mover is less prominent. So that's why actually basically this hunting factor is say happening due to the speed variation of the prime mover. But here since the hunting is not say effective here because of this asynchronous nature of speed of the induction generator. So speed variation of the prime mover is less prominent. The induction generator is smaller in size for kilowatt output power in comparison to the traditional synchronous generators or alternators, and it needs less auxiliary equipment. It does not have to be synchronized to the supply line as that of the synchronous generator. The induction generator has a self-protection feature. In the case of the short circuit, if a fault occurs on its terminals, the excitation fails and the machine stops the generation itself. So these are the advantages of an induction generator. Once again, we can repeat these advantages as an induction generator requires less maintenance because of its robust construction, and ordinary case motor is used as an induction generator as it is cheaper in comparison. Parallel operation is possible without hunting. Speed variation of the prime mover is less prominent, and the induction generator is smaller in size per kilowatt output power. It needs less auxiliary equipment. It doesn't have to be synchronized to the supply line as that of the synchronous generator. The induction generator has a self-protection feature. In the case of the short circuit, if a fault occurs on its terminals, the excitation fails and the machine stops the generation itself. So these are the advantages. Applications are definitely the use of induction generators started in the early 20th century. In the 1960s and 1970s, its uses has become very less, but later its uses started again. They are used in with the alternative energy sources such as windmills or with energy recovery systems in the industrial processes. They are also used to supply additional power to a load in a remote area that is being supplied by weak transmission line. And its limitations also, limitation of an induction generator, the major limitation of an induction generator is that it requires reactive voltamperes from the auxiliary equipment, and induction generator cannot generate reactive voltamperes, so it requires reactive voltamperes from the supply mains for excitation process. And the operation of an induction generator requires a synchronous machine, whether a generator or a motor, providing the required reactive voltamperes. So these are the advantages and applications and limitations of induction generators. Once again, I am telling you that is the induction generator actually how it, from torque speed characteristic, we have seen how it has been used in the generating region, and then how from its equivalent circuit we have seen how the say mechanical resistance is instead of absorbing power, it is delivering energy or power to the supply mains. So what are the factors for it will the induction machine will operate as a generator? So that is it must have the depends on the magnitude of the negative state, the speed of the rotor, that should be must be super synchronous, and rotation of the motor, whether when it operates as an induction motor, and so pushover torque pushover torque. Then why it is called asynchronous generator, its advantages, applications and limitations. Now we'll discuss about self-excitation system of induction machines when it is act as a induction generator. So particularly it is known as isolated induction generators, or sometimes it is called self-excited induction generator. So isolated induction generator means that an induction machine can work as a generator even without an external supply system. A three-phase delta-connected capacitor bank is connected across the terminals of the machine, and that is shown in the figure, and it provides a necessary excitation to the machines. So that means without say getting reactive power from the external supply system, it can be supplied or it can be generated with some arrangement. That's why it is called self-excited system of induction generator. And this type of induction generator is known as the isolated induction generators. In that case, a three-phase delta-connected capacitor bank is connected across the terminals of the machine, and it provides the necessary excitation to the machine. So this is the delta-connected capacitor bank, which is connected to the three-phase systems, and it provides the reactive power, necessary reactive power to the three-phase induction generators. And it will, in that case, it will generate as a isolated induction generator and supply power to the main, that is the terminals, supply terminals. So the residual flux in the machine provides the initial excitations, and in the absence of the residual flux, if there is no residual flux at all, so in that case the machine is momentarily run as an induction motor to create the residual flux. Then the motor is running slightly above the synchronous speed and at no load by a prime mover. Okay. A small EMF is induced in the stator at a frequency proportional to the rotor speed, and the voltage appearing across the three-phase capacitor banks gives rise to a leading current drawn by the capacitor bank, and this current is almost equal to the lagging current supplied back to the generator. So in this is the arrangement, and the flux set up by the current helps the initial residual flux, causing an increase in the total flux, and as a result the voltage is increased. This increase in voltage causes an increase in the exciting current and a further increase in the terminal voltage, and this increase in voltage continues till the point where the magnetization characteristics of the machine and the volt current characteristics of the capacitor bank intersect each other, and this is shown in the graph, that is the magnetization curve, and the voltage and capacitor current characteristics is shown here. This is the magnetization current, and this is the reactance line. So basically voltage and capacitor current characteristics. So this point of intersection is giving you the required magnetization characteristics and the voltage current characteristics, and this point of intersection will give you the required volt ampere. So at this point, the reactive volt amperes required by the generator are equal to the reactive power, reactive volt ampere supplied by the capacitor bank, and the operating frequency depends upon the rotor speed, and the change in load affects the speed of the rotor. The voltage is mainly controlled by the capacitive reactance at the operating frequency. So this is the capacitive reactance at operating frequency, and the major disadvantages of an isolated induction generator is that for a lagging power factor load, the voltage collapses very rapidly. So that is about this isolated induction generators. Once again I am telling you, so when the arrangement is done in such a way that a delta connected capacitor bank is connected along the supply terminals, and this basically at the very beginning say if there is no residual flux, then with the help of the prime mover, the induction machine is run as a motor for a uh, momentarily, and then it will create some residual flux, and the motor is running slightly above the synchronous speed at no load by prime mover, and a small EMF is induced in the stator at a frequency proportional to the rotor speed, and the voltage appearing across the three-phase capacitor bank gives rise to a leading current drawn by the capacitor bank, and this current is almost equal to the lagging current supplied back to the generator. And the flux set up by the current helps the initial residual flux, causing an increase in the total flux, and as a result, the voltage is increased. This increase in voltage causes an increase in the exciting current and a further increase in the terminal voltage, and this increase in voltage continues till the point where the magnetization characteristics of the machine and the voltage current characteristics of the capacitor bank intersect each other. The graph below that is here shown, this is the magnetization characteristics of the machines, and this is the volt ampere characteristics of the reactance lines of the capacitor bank, and this point of intersection will give you the volt ampere required for the self excitation, the induction generator. And at this point, this reactive volt amperes required for the generator are equal to the reactive volt amperes supplied by the capacitor bank, and the operating frequency depends upon the rotor speed, and the change in load affects the speed of the rotor. The voltage is mainly controlled by the capacitive reactance at the operating speed, and the major disadvantage of an isolated induction is that for a lagging power factor load, the voltage collapses very rapidly. Okay. So that's all about isolated induction generators. Now we'll talk about W-fed induction machines. Actually, one of the most recent rotor side control schemes is the W-fed induction generator. And this method uses bidirectional AC-AC converters in the rotor circuit to control the currents injected into the rotor. The converters, being bidirectional, can be used to feed the rotor power back to the grid, reducing rotor power losses and surmounting the main drawback of the rotor resistance control. For W-fed electric machines or electric motors or electric generators where both the field magnet windings and armature windings are separately connected to the equipment outside the machines. By feeding adjustable frequency AC power to the field winding, the magnetic field can be made to rotate, allowing variation in motor or generator speed. So this is useful for instance for generators used in wind turbines. So this is the structure of a W-fed induction generators. So W-fed electrical generators are similar to AC electrical generators, but have additional features which allow them to run at speeds slightly above or below their natural synchronous speed. And this is useful for large variable speed wind turbines because wind speed can change suddenly. So this is the arrangement of a W-fed induction generator. So when a gust of wind hits a wind turbine, the blades try to speed up, but a synchronous generator is locked the speed of the power grid and cannot speed up. So large forces are developed in the hub, gearbox and generators as the power grid pushes back, and this causes wear and damage to the mechanism. If the turbine is allowed to speed up immediately when hit by a wind gust, the stresses are lower and the power from the wind gust is converted to the useful electricity. So one approach to allow wind turbine speed to vary is to accept whatever frequency the generator produces, convert it to DC and then convert it to AC. Okay, so this is actually this DC to AC converter and then AC to DC converter. Okay, so AC to DC and DC to AC in this way. So this is the thing. Okay, AC and DC get in this fashion. Okay, so AC actually and then converted to AC at the desired output frequency using an inverter, and this is common for small house and farm wind turbines, but the inverters required for megawatt scale wind turbines are large and expensive. So doubly fed generators are one solution of this problem. So instead of using usual field winding fed with DC and an armature winding where the generated electricity comes out, there are two three-phase windings, one stationary and one rotating, both separately connected to the equipment outside the generator, and thus the term doubly fed. So this is actually doubly fed. Okay. Actually, when the machine is operating in the generating mode, the mechanical power PM gets converted into electrical power in the stator, that is P stator, and in the rotor, P rotor. The rotor power is processed by the PWM pulse width modulation converters, and the grid side converters can be controlled to feed this power as both real and reactive powers, PR and QR. So that is shown here. Okay, this is actually shown. So PR and actually just the induction generator system is capable of generating a limited amount of reactive power. Unlike the pitch control or rotor resistance control wind energy systems, so the system can usually be made to operate at a unity power factor with a plus minus 10% control range on the power factor for the entire system. And the principle of doubly fed induction generator is that rotor windings are connected to the grid via slip rings and back-to-back voltage source converters that control both the rotor and the grid current. So that is shown here. Okay, this is back-to-back converters connected to the grid. Okay, so actually, this rotor frequency can freely differ from the grid frequency, that is of 50 or 60 Hertz. By using the converter to control the rotor currents, it is possible to adjust the active and reactive power fed to the grid from the stator independently of the generator's turning speed. The control principle used is either in the two-axis current vector control or direct torque control, DTC. DTC has turned out to have better stability than current vector control, especially when high reactive currents are required from the generator. So the doubly fed generator rotors are typically wound with 2 to 3 times the number of turns of the stator, and this means that the rotor voltages will be higher and currents respectively lower. So thus in the typical plus minus 30% operational speed range around the synchronous speed, the rated current of the converter is accordingly lower, which leads to a lower cost of the converters. And definitely the drawback is that controlled operation outside the operational speed range is impossible because of the higher than the rated rotor voltage, and further the voltage transients due to the grid disturbance, C and two-phase voltage dips especially will also be magnified. And in order to prevent high rotor voltages and high currents resulting from these voltages from destroying the IGBTs and diodes of the converters, insulated gate bipolar transistors and the diodes of the converter, a protection circuit called the Crow is used. That is discussed in power electronics class. This is the protection system. So actually this is in short the doubly fed induction generators. So doubly fed, this is the induction generator. It is both the stator side and rotor side supply system is given. So that is why it is doubly fed. So it is back-to-back converter systems used here. So this is the schematic structure of the doubly fed induction generators. And hope with this we can complete this unit, and hope you have enjoyed. If you have any problem, you contact me, we'll discuss.